Hey, what's up guys? So I need to make a thumbnail for my latest tutorial about array, curve, radial, and mirror. So I'm just going to make a simple room and I'll use it for my little creatures. So first things first, I'm just going to make a box. I'll make it quite big. So I'll validate it. And actually before I validate it, sometimes I like to go into the options, and I'll just do this just so it's a little bit, you can also do that so it's a little sharper. I think this is good. So I'll just do post subdivision 2 and then I'll validate it. And the reason why I'm doing that is I think it makes it a little more stable. It's actually quite big, but that's okay, because we're gonna take the whole inside out. So I'm going to, let's rename this room, and then I'm going to clone it. I'm going to get rid of I'm going to hide the first one. So now we're on the second one that I just made. I'm going to make it smaller like this. Okay, so now room 1 is the one that I'm going to erase. So I'm just going to rename it to erase. But before I do that, I'm going to clone it and I'm going to hide it. So this is, and you don't have to do all this. It's just sometimes I just get confused. So that's what I want to do. So I have my room here. I have my erase. So now I still don't know why it does that. That's so annoying. If I just want to hide the 1, I don't know why it won't let me do that. Kind of annoying. So there we go. So now this one the smaller one will just take off. It'll just subtract from the bigger one. So voxel remesh at 200. We'll do keep sharp edges. So voxel merge. So essentially now this box is hollow. So now I want to open the other one, the erase, and I just want to figure out how I want the box to be open in a sense. So for example, wait a minute, this is the wrong one. Let's go to erase 2. So if I make it longer, you can see kind of shows. Okay, so now let's just move it. There we go. So now I'm just trying to get it so this will subtract from this box. So now we'll just do the same thing. Although this is named erase, it's really just the main box. It just took over the other name. So subtract that, do the check mark. So erase 2 is going to be erased. And we'll voxel merge 200. Voxel merge. Even though it has sharp edges, it still looks ugly. Let's see what it looks like if we do voxel merge without the sharp edges. Where's it at? Voxel remesh 200. I think that looks better, which I don't really understand, but it is what it is. So now at least we have like a little room. If you wanted to, you could have like cut the top off too. If you want to get rid of the top as well, then you would just go to the erase and however thick you want the floor or something like that. So there we go. It's kind of like the triplanar or something. So anyway, I'm just going to save this shape so I don't have to do this again. So I'll save it as an OBJ. Save to files, and 3-sided, whoops. 3 sides room, that's good enough. Okay, and somehow I made there's my sphere. Okay, so that's looking good. So let's add a box and let's rename it to floor. Okay, so now we have a floor, or we have a floor. We have a box, and let's say we want this to be the floor. So we'll do something like this. We'll make like panels. So something like that looks pretty good. So now we can figure out if we want to, we can validate it. And if we want to like smooth it out, let's see how it smooths. It's still quite soft, so you can either subdivide it or you can, you know, voxel remesh it. Well, let's subdivide. I don't usually subdivide that much. So let's subdivide it. And let's lower the strength of the smooth. And also, let's go to symmetry and let's just engage all of them so that it will smooth all of the sides and everything at the same time. Okay, so now we have, it's just a little softer. That's all I wanted. So it's looking good. So we have floor, and I might just decimate it too. Why not? Let's see if we can decimate it. That will bring down the size. So decimate it once, just make it a little bit smaller. So now if we want to use array to make the floor, then we go back in here. So we have the floor, we go add, we go array. So now the floor is going to be like a repeater, which is cool. So let's go to the gizmo so we can see, so we can see our directions. We have red that way, blue this way, green is up. So we want the blue. So we go back in here, back to array. That can be 1. Let's go to the blue and we'll just expand it like this. And you can sort of place it where you want. Let's say we want it there. So now the offset will be the space in between. So you can figure out how close you actually want them. So something like that. And you can still change the size like that. Okay. So now that we have that, now we can make this the whole floor by choosing more of these. And if we want to bring it all the way to the edge, we can just change this offset a little bit. Actually, no, we don't want to change the offset, because if we change the offset, that's the space in between. We want to stretch it. So something like that. That looks good. So now we want to change the array for the red because we want these to go back. So now we will go like this. But we still have to change the offset. See how it added them, but the offset, they're too close. So there we go. So now we bring them out like that. And we can figure out how close we want them. Whoops, that's the count. I'm on the wrong one. So there we go. That looks good. So let's say we want another row. If we want another row of them, then we have to shrink it like this. And then we have to add another red. So now we have 3. So now let's bring it to the edge where we want it. And then we can just stretch it to the wall. So there we go. So now we just stretched it into the wall. So now we have a nice floor there. Okay. So that's good. That's looking good. So now what else can we do? So we can add, let's add another shape with radial. So let's add a cylinder. So we add a cylinder. And apparently it went under the array, but I'm just going to take it and pull it out of there and just make it its own cylinder like that. Oops. So let's bring it down. So this can be like just something on the floor. I don't know. I like to make my little creatures sitting on things. So maybe what we'll do is, now that we have our cylinder, we'll just rename it pads. And we'll do radial. I don't know why it always goes back to the sphere. Why is it going back to the sphere? I don't know why it does that. It's annoying. So now we're on radial, so we have to go to the radial settings. And right now it's at 4, but it's green, so the 4 must be below. So let's take it off of that, and let's use, so I guess the blue or the red? Let's see. Oh, somehow it's on the sphere again. I don't know what's up with that. Radial, pads, why is it showing the sphere? What happens if we just delete the sphere? Okay, so maybe somehow this pivot, maybe it's just a pivot. So let's go to reset pivot. No, nothing. Okay, so somehow this radial, I'm going to take the pads off. I'm going to delete this radial because somehow it's linked to that sphere, I think. So let's add another one. No, it's still linked to the sphere. Very odd. World. Okay, so I did move origin to move it back. I don't know why I can't move it down. But let's see if it works now. No, it's still... For some reason, it's still connected to... Which I don't understand. Okay, it still moves it, but... So, I don't know, quite strange. So, I'm going to change... So, we'll use the green, and I'm going to change it to 6. So, now I'm going to go to the pads. I really don't understand why the radial thing is staying up here. It's a bit annoying, but I don't know. Maybe someone better than me understands why that's happening. So, I'm going to bring it out so that there's 5 little pads here. I want to make them all bigger. Okay, that looks good. And now I just want to make one cylinder in the middle. Whoops. So we'll make one cylinder in the middle, and then I'll add some spheres, and we'll use array again. Whoops. So go back to radial, and okay, so it's doing the same thing. Let's see what happens if we validate this sphere. Okay, so if we validate the sphere, then it goes to it. So maybe it just stays here. I don't know. I'm confused. It's annoying. So let's go back to 6, I think it is. And then we'll go to the sphere, and we'll just spread these out. And let's put them on those pads. Okay, so something like this. And that looks good. So let's see what happens if I instance this, but I bring these up, and then I Let's see if I can turn this one. I just want to see what options I have. Oh, I can stretch them. So I should be able to turn it. No? So let's separate this. Let's make it its own array, or its own radial. And let's snap it so I can put it against the wall. Okay, so let's see if we can instance this. I don't know why it's so weird. So if we instance it, I can't spin it. Okay, so I can't spin it, so that's okay. So we'll uninstance it, and it should be able to spin it now. No, I still can't spin it. So I have to make it its own thing. Oh, it took it out of array. I see. So let's do array. Let's do radial again. Put it to 6. But actually we can put this to 0 and put red to 6. Oh, I didn't even know I had that many on the other wall. So something like that. Okay, so I think that's pretty decent. So I'm going to change it from Metcap to PBR. I'm going to color this room yellow. Just going to try to get through this quickly. So let's see if we can color the floor. Nice woodish color. I think that works. So these, let's make these like a... Let's change these to... Oh, it changed all of them. Wait, let's see. Not those. I don't understand why it changes all of them, because those are not selected. Okay, so I just have to do... So I just want to change the color of those two, but it still changes the color of the other ones. I don't really understand why it does that, because they shouldn't be connected at all. So let me uninstance, and maybe that will do the trick. Maybe they were instanced. Okay, so I guess they were instanced. So we want to do sort of a color like that. We'll do paint all, and then we'll clone each one of these. I mean, I know instance will save the size, but I just feel like it would be so much easier if I just validate these. And then I join them. And I just rename them lights. Like, that would just be much easier. I know it's more size, I think, because there's not instanced, but I don't know. So now let's clone. Let's put these together. Let's clone and make these lights add. So then we'll change these to additive and always unlit. Okay, let's grab the color of the wall and okay, so we painted those the same color as the wall. This can be the same color as well. These, let's make these like a nice brushed, soft brushed metal color. Okay, so now we have a kind of room here. So next let's turn the environment off and add a light. So this is a world light. We have to go to Gizmo. I kind of wish Gizmo was on by default. So let's find this light. There we go. So maybe something like that. Let's make the background darker. Okay, so let's turn on post-process so we can have a better understanding of what it looks like. We'll turn on global illumination, of course, make it look real pretty. Let me just save this in case it crashes. Room. So now let's change some of these materials. Let's make these subsurface. So that'll make them nice and soft. And we'll change the color to a more yellowish color. And the floor, let's see what that looks like if it's subsurface too. Okay. Excuse me. All right, so I think that looks good. So now we have like a nice, interesting room. We can add another light. I don't know which is the light we just added. I think this is the light. So we'll change that to 2. And let's make it a spotlight. Let's make it a spotlight and let's raise the intensity. I can't even see it. Oh, there it is. I see it. Helps if it's over. So now it's like a spotlight. It looks like it's like shining down on our hero spot, which is nice. We can take these lights and we'll go to lights add, and then we can raise the opacity and maybe make them a little bit brighter. Okay. So that looks pretty good. I'm trying to figure out why it looks so it's the global illumination. If we lower it, doesn't make a difference. It definitely looks better. So, let me raise the render resolution. So let's save. So this is essentially how I would make a room. I might do another light. Oh, let's do the environment. So we'll bring up the environment and maybe bring it lower. just to brighten it up a little bit. And let's add a cold light, and let's just see what this looks like. So we'll add a cold light, and we'll make it cool, so sort of bluish. Point light, we'll lower the intensity. I can't even see it, so where is it? Let's raise the intensity so I can't really see it. Okay, it looks a little weird, so I'm going to change it to spotlight. Oh, I just lost it. Let's change it to a directional, because I kind of just want more light on the whole scene. But I don't really think it's helping at all. So I'm going to switch it to, well, I'll keep it here. I'll just keep it white. And this light will be good when I actually have a character there, I think. But let's switch it to a spotlight. And we'll point it to our hero spot, which should be on that pedestal. So I think that's pretty good. And like normally I would just put, let's switch it to perspective. This actually looks better if the perspective is stretched out. Okay, so that's essentially how I would do a room. Let's see, ambient occlusion. And this is like all the little shadows and things in the corners. Depth of field, for sure. Depth of field will always make it look more realistic. Bloom, let's see what it looks like without bloom. The bloom is good. The bloom makes it look a little bit natural. I'll do tone mapping. It usually makes my work look better with tone mapping. I think I messed with the settings. So I think that looks okay. Everything else looks good. I think I just want that in focus. There we go. Yeah, the focus, I get a little bit, I'm not sure how to focus on things because it kind of changed a little bit. Like sometimes I notice I have to like tap in front of what I want to be focused. Let's see if I want the back wall focused. Okay. Okay, I think that looks good. I think that looks real good. So let's add another. Oh, I know what I want to do. Let's add a torus. Wait, do I want it to be a torus or a cylinder? Let's make it a torus. So I'll add a torus. I'll bring it down. Let me turn off post-process for a second. So I'll make it bigger. And I'm going to use these edit things to make it skinnier. I'm not sure which one makes it skinnier. Maybe it's the green. Yes, yes. So now I'll make it bigger, like that. I think that looks nice. So I'm going to go ahead and validate it. I'm going to take it off the radial because I want it to be by itself. I don't like how sometimes shapes will just automatically be in other groups. It's kind of annoying, but it is what it is. So I'm going to clone this and select them, or put them together. And this one's going to be add. So I'll do additive, always unlit. And I guess we can keep it white. And we'll raise it so maybe it's a little brighter. Let's go back to post-process. So now it has like a light on the pedestal. And that'll be great. I'll just put a little like character on there. I think it'll look good. And we might have to lower the... Oh, we might actually... Excuse me. We might be able to lower some of these lights. Here, this light is quite bright. Yeah, this light is very bright, so let's lower this. Lower the intensity. Okay. And this material, actually, let's try out this material. Oh, let me validate this. I'm just going to grab the color. And let's see if I turn the roughness up. Okay. Okay, cool. So now the only thing I wanted to play with was the ambient occlusion. Add a little more shadow to the room, especially to these little cuts, curves in there. I want to make those a little darker. Okay. So that is essentially how I would make a room. Of course, we can play with the... Let's save. Can play with the focus, but I think that looks really cool. It works for what I wanted. I just want a room, a space for a character. So I think this works. And let's switch this. This subsurface always looks sort of soft. So if we do opaque, I just want to see the difference. Doesn't even have much difference, which is odd. Make sure I'm on the right shape. Yeah, I don't see much of a difference. It is working, that's additive. Opaque, subsurface, reflectance. So let's raise the depth up. See what we get. Okay, so when I raise the depth, it does get a little sharper. And when I lower it, the edges get a little more softer, more soft. Transparency. Okay, so maybe I should do that with all of these as well. Oh, the pads aren't subsurface? Oh, now they are. Interesting. So they were opaque. Make this a little more yellow. Okay. Okay, so now that we've done that, so now that these are subsurface, let's save this. Oh, there's an add view thing right here. Add view. And now let's see if we can shine some light through them just to sort of take advantage. Maybe we'll make the walls subsurface as well. Let's go here. Let's see how different that looks. Doesn't look much different. But the difference with subsurface is now we can add another light. So we can do, we'll name this one extra. We'll make it warm. I'm going to turn off subsurface because it's going really slow. I mean, not subsurface, post-process. So gizmo, again, I wish that the gizmo was by default, since that's how I learned to do everything in the previous. So we'll change it to spotlight. Open up the intensity, and maybe we'll put it, move it back some. Okay, so shine that through. And maybe this light, maybe the other light. Wait, where is the button light icons? There we go. I wish I could get rid of the camera icons, because I don't care about the camera icons. Maybe it's because I don't, there we go, camera icons. I just want the light icons. So this one was just white. So let's bring it down. And angle it up. Whoops. Let's raise the intensity. And we'll raise the cone angle a bit and bring it up a little higher. We'll move it back some. Okay, just to get some other like light in our scene. I think that looks good. Let's go back to our view. And now let's do post-process. And we'll focus on something. So now it looks very, very bright. So let's just bring these down some. So I want them there, but we'll lower the intensity. And I think I might change this to opaque, but it's still strange. It's like you can still see through it. Very odd. Yeah, it's almost like I can still see through this. Okay, so maybe it is, maybe there's another thing that I'm missing. Oh, it's a shadow. That's what it is. Okay, I get it. It's a shadow. Okay, so the lighting is okay. It's still a little bright from the opposite side. I think that's this light. Nope. But this light looks like it can also come down some. And I think it's the cold light. So we'll bring this intensity, we'll make it softer. And we'll bring the intensity down a little bit. And then maybe we'll bring the intensity on the environment down a little bit. Okay. All right, I think that looks good. Let's make this a little warmer. I feel like it's going to crash soon. I should save. Yeah, let's make this a little warmer to sort of match the tone of the room, and I'm happy with that. Okay, cool. So let's export this. Ooh, I didn't want to do screen. I want to do 4K. Really get a good look at it. So the only thing that I sort of failed at is this was supposed to be for a different video, but I guess I should use this. I guess I should use this thumbnail for this video and not the other video. So, you know, maybe I'll just do, oh, it looks great. It looks cool. So I'll save it. Yeah, that looks good. So maybe I'll just change it around a little bit for the other thumbnail. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you want to learn more, check out my classes on Skillshare. I have 2D classes and 3D classes. If you want to see more, be sure to check me out on social media, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, all Drug-Free Dave, and also Facebook. There's some really great Facebook resources for Nomad Sculpt and Procreate, including my own group, Procreate Tutorials and Guidance. As always, keep drawing, keep sculpting, and I'll see you all in the next video.